Hi everybody, and welcome back to Kevin's Upfront Opinion today. So, today what I thought I'd speak about is if you make a mistake or mistakes, should you be forgiven for them? Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about. Now, the reason I thought I'd do this, and this is completely by the by, is last Sunday I did a video about Ian Huntley, okay, which I put on TikTok, and I got absolutely slaughtered for it because I basically said, should he be allowed to have a Christian burial or a religious funeral at the end of the day, taking into account what his daughter had said? And it got me thinking, okay, if somebody makes a mistake, and this is irrelevant for him because that was way more than a mistake what he did, okay, should they be forgiven for it? Okay, and the reason I thought it, because I had a few people that said to me, it's the Christian thing to do, is to forgive. Now, when I look at my own personal life, okay, you know, born in 1978, which means I'm getting old. I'm getting extremely old. So I'm 47 years old. I'm 48 in August. Okay. And for me to say I've never made a mistake, I would be point blank lying. Now, I've never committed a crime. Okay, ever. I got brought into Southampton police station once, and they had to make a full apology to me because of what I got accused of. Okay, they actually made an apology. Okay, and I've still got the written letter to this day of the apology that they made. So for me to say that I've never made a mistake, I would be categorically lying. Now, when I look at my life, okay, and I've always been of the belief you've got to be honest with yourself or you can't move on. Okay, and a lot of my life, I've lived my life in denial, an awful lot. Okay, and my wife would tell you that point blank. Okay, but if I was to look at myself, I've made two mistakes in my life. What I would say are proper mistakes. And I've always deserved to be held accountable for them. So, mistake number one, okay, which is the long-winded one, was when it came to my first daughter. Okay, now, I don't regret my first child. I'll never regret that. Even though I've never met her. No, that's not out of choice. It's never been out of choice. The choice was made for me. Okay, and that's not even to do with the courts. That is to do with the mother going out of her way to be as awkward as humanly possible for 16 years. 16 years. Now, my daughter will be 17 on the 6th of August this year, and I've still never seen her because the mother has gone out of her way. I would say certain things, but I'll probably get in trouble for saying it, and I won't achieve anything for saying it. Okay. Now, some people would say, yeah, but Kevin, what have you got to say that you've got any guilt for? As a general rule, I don't really have anything to feel guilty for, apart from one thing. And this is what I'd say to any man. You should never give up fighting. And I did. I gave up fighting. Okay. And the main reason I did, and this was my mistake, because I felt I didn't want her to have my childhood. I didn't want my daughter to have my childhood. You know, because even still to this day, and like I said, I'm 47 years of age, you know, my mother and father both blame each other and drag me into it on a regular basis. Even though I don't speak to my mother now, okay, it's her choice. I've lived with her all my life, and I thought, I really don't want this for her. I do not want her having to live the life I've had to live all my life. And I live with knowing how much I failed her. Because I have failed her miserably. You know, the mother can say what she likes. Okay, but I've got to look at it for what I'm accountable for. And even though I won't speak to my kids about it, I won't speak to my wife about it, I won't speak to any of my family about it, okay, let alone her family, because I should have never given up fighting to see her, and I did. And in some ways I look at it and think, Kevin, you did it for selfish reasons. You never actually did what was best for her. Has anybody actually done what's best for her entire life? Probably not. You know, I can understand what she's gone through, because I went through the same thing myself, because my mum did exactly the same when it came to my father. Now, I never saw my father from about the age of 8 into 18, so I understand from her point of view what she's going to think of me. And I doubt I'll ever see her. I very much doubt it. You know, so that's mistake number one. Okay, and I don't ever expect to be forgiven for it, because it's unforgivable what I did. Even though I have tried in the last year and failed miserably yet again. You know, and the irony, this is the irony, I actually saw the mother, it was last week. And she had the cheek to go and speak to my own daughter. So it's okay for her to speak to my children, but my daughter isn't allowed to have anything to do with my other children. You know, you can work the irony out on that. Okay, so yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you about you, Sophie. You can go and speak to my daughter, and you can go and speak to my son, but their sister's not allowed to go and speak to them either, is she? That's right. And you can make a comment if you want, if you're brave enough, and I know you won't be, so because you're too much of a coward. Now, the other mistake I've made, and this is something I'm not even allowed to speak about, but I don't care, because I got told last year I'm not allowed to refer to my stepdaughter. Okay, so when she came into my life, and I'll openly admit this, I didn't actually know how to be a father. I didn't. And even though, when was it? 2 days after Halloween last year, she said, "You're not my father, you're nothing to me." And that's what she said to me on the phone. And I'm not going to hold that against her. You know, if she wants to go and say something like that, and she wants to be bitchy and say nasty things about me, I'm not going to complain. You know, I can always go and take a few more happy pills, so I can pretend I never heard it or wasn't listening. Okay, but the reality is, I wasn't a very good stepfather, and I've never been a very good stepfather. And even though we don't talk, okay, because she doesn't want to speak to me anymore, okay, that's fine. That's no problem. I've got no problem with that. You know, she's a big girl. She's what, 25 now. You know, she's entitled to make her own decisions. But when I look at it and think about it, you know, and I came into her life when she was what, 13. I think she was 13 at the time. She might have been 14, but I think she was 13. Can I say that I did a good job? I would generally say no. But that's me making a judgment call myself. Some people may say I did the best I could, you know, because she was at a awkward age. You know, but the reality is, it is what it is at the end of the day. Do I ever expect people to forgive me that I wasn't a very good stepfather to her, or a good father to my other daughter? No, I don't expect it for a single second. Okay, would I want them to? Probably not, because I personally don't live my life relying on people forgiving me. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. So let me know what you think. Do you think a person should be forgiven for a mistake that they've made? I'm not talking about a criminal mistake, but something they've made, a mistake that they've made that's affected other people around them. So let us know in the comments down below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you all again a bit later.